Hello my friends, and welcome to today's tutorial. I'm Jeanette with Vivo Vintage Designs. On this channel we learn watercolor and alcohol ink together. In today's tutorial we're going to be painting some autumn leaves. You can see that I am mixing my colors before I start painting because I want to be able to paint the entire painting without having to stop and mix more colors. So it's just something you might want to do, and I've already pre-wet my colors just to activate them so they're easier to pick up and put onto the palette. And if you're mixing your paints like you saw me do, if you have an old brush, use that to mix your colors, because scrubbing the colors to activate them and bring them to your palette it can be damaging to your brushes. So it's always good to use a separate brush for your mixing, maybe just an old brush you have laying around. So I did use a mechanical pencil and I drew some very, very simple leaf shapes. And of course you don't have to draw the same leaf shapes that I've drawn. I wanted to keep this very beginner friendly, and those of you who are more advanced, of course, you can draw different shapes and you can draw twisted leaves. You can get as carried away as you want, but I wanted to keep this beginner friendly. And you can see here that I am putting down the color. First I thought I would try, well, with the second leaf I thought I would try the wet and wet technique, but then decided this is a small painting and I can just mix the colors on each leaf as I go along. So you can see that I add my base color, and as I fill in the leaf I drop in some other colors, and I'm adding some dots here and there just to keep the leaves interesting. And you don't have to use the color that you see me using here. You can use greens, browns, oranges, whatever colors you like. I just happened to see these leaves outside while I was walking Diesel for the 50th time, and I really liked the colors. They were so bright and so pretty. So these are the colors that I decided to use. So you can see, just because the paper is wet from the paint, you can just drop in your colors. That's called charging. And as the paint dries, those colors will blend together very nicely. And you can see I ended up mixing some more paint after all, but no big deal. Because I'm not using a consistent color throughout the painting, it doesn't matter. And you can see that I'm making some leaves dark and I'm keeping some lighter. And another thing to keep in mind is that you should not paint a leaf next to a wet leaf, because if it touches, your colors will run from one leaf to the other. So draw your first set of leaves that are not touching, let it dry, and then come back and paint the other leaves. And you'll see me do that in just a moment. Okay, so now my leaves are dry, and I'm going to paint the leaves that are touching other leaves. And this is really simple. I want you to not get stressed out about it. Don't go for perfection. I think sometimes the harder you try, the more stressful painting becomes. And I'm learning to just let it happen, because sometimes, especially with watercolor, I strive for perfection in my more detailed paintings, and it turns out that sometimes I really don't enjoy it. I get so stressed out. So I'm trying to learn to be more loose, to not think about it, to just let the paint do what it does, because really the paint does a lot of the work. So now that all my leaves are painted, I'm going in between the leaves and I'm wetting down the area and then dropping in a few different colors just to create an interesting background as well. And now that I'm looking at this painting as I'm doing this voiceover, I kind of wish I had added more leaves, but I wanted to keep it beginner friendly, so I wanted to make it simple. But looking at it now, I think it would have looked even better with some more leaves. But, well, maybe the next one. And I don't care if some of the leaves start to blend into the background, because I'm going to outline these leaves later on. So it's okay if it touches Don't worry about it. Now, if you don't have a liner brush to do this outline, you can even use like a brown marker, a watercolor marker, or any marker that you have lying around. But I'm using a liner brush, and you can see that for the dark leaves, I'm using a darker brown, and for the lighter leaves, I'll use that. I think I have burnt umber and raw umber. I'm not sure what colors I have on the palette, unfortunately. I always forget to bring up my color chart or my swatch chart for these paints. But it looks better, I think, if you use the lighter colors for the lighter leaves and obviously darker colors for the darker leaves. And you can see how easy it is to use a liner brush to paint in these veins. So while you watch me fill in these veins, I'll remind you that all the products will be in the description box. Just click where it reads, click on this link for a list of the products used, and that will take you to my Amazon store where you can take a look at the products or purchase them for yourself. And as an Amazon associate, I do receive a small commission on products purchased using my links, and that is at no extra charge to you. And thank you to those of you who do use my links. It's a really nice way to help support my channel, and I really appreciate it. Also, a very special thank you to those of you who have made donations via Super Thanks and PayPal. All the donations made are used to purchase products so that I can keep these free art tutorials coming your way. I really, really appreciate your generosity. And for those of you who don't know, we have a Facebook group called Vivo Vintage Design Tutorials. I created that group so that my YouTube subscribers would have a place to post their versions of the paintings and techniques learned on this channel. You can showcase your paintings there, or if you get stuck with something or you need an opinion, we have a lovely group of members that are incredibly supportive. It's like a family. They are so kind and just so sweet and helpful, and they'll definitely inspire you and help you build your confidence. So I hope that you consider joining. Again, the name is Vivo Vintage Design Tutorials. Now make sure to stick around till the end of the video where I'll post a picture of the finished painting. And I always do that because with all these lights, it's hard to see the true colors of the painting. And I want you to see what it looks like finished. So I always post a picture at the end. And now that I'm finished painting, I've picked up my the brush that I used to mix my paint, and I made sure that it was nice and wet. I've picked up a little bit of color and I'm splattering on the leaves. And I really like the way that finished off this painting, because I noticed that the leaves outside had those wonderful little speckles on them. So here's the best part, removing the washi tape. How pretty is that? I hope that you enjoyed the video and that you give it a try. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will always get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.